Hi, and welcome back to video 5 of our Mora-based approach to ancient Greek accentuation. Here we're going to go over rule 4, which is about hybrid accentuation. Now, hybrid accentuation is not a different type of accentuation. It's actually just an alternation between recessive and processive in certain words. What words are we talking about? We're talking about mostly nouns, adjectives, and pronouns, because these are the forms of words in ancient Greek that will change through endings to show something called case. And I'll talk about that in just a second. This is stuff that you don't necessarily need right at the beginning, but you will need it very soon as you start learning your first nouns in most classes or in most textbooks if you're doing self-study. So you can't wait for this too long. But rules 1, 2, and 3, you got to get those down. You got to make sure you understand what they're doing before you want to mess with this one. So rule 4 is that hybrid accentuation results in NAV forms of nouns, adjectives, and pronouns being processive, that is, they will follow rule 3, and GD forms being recessive, that is, they will follow rules 1 and 2, when the limit vowel is the final vowel. That will also happen when there's only one vowel in a word. So what does this NAV GD stuff mean? Well, you will soon encounter, if you have not already, the fact that Greek nouns, pronouns, and adjectives mark for something called case, and there are 5 of them. So a noun can be marked as a nominative, for instance, or an accusative, or a genitive, or a dative, or a vocative. And these divide and fall into 2 groups. So the NAV forms tend to operate similarly to each other, and you'll see this division in other places in the language. Don't worry about it right now. Just remember NAV, the nominative, accusative, and vocative forms go together, and the GD, the genitive, and dative forms, they stick together. So what does that mean? Well, the rule says that NAV forms are going to be processive, whereas GD forms are going to be recessive when the tone is going to be on the last vowel. So let's take an example here. This is one you might encounter pretty early on. Certainly it's a type of word that you will encounter very early. This is a noun. I've given you the paradigm, but I've left the vocative off because the vocative just sort of takes up space, and it's usually the same as the nominative. So from the vocabulary entry, from the nominative singular, you can see that skene has a limit vowel at the end there. And that means that tone is going to be restricted to the final vowel of this word. And if you look through this paradigm, and you can pause the video if you need to, you will see that indeed the nominative forms and the accusative forms have processive accent, just like our rule tells us. The vocatives do too, even though I'm not showing them to you. Now, you can't tell that in the nominative plural because it only has one mora there, but you know from the rule that it is, and you can, you just assume that I'm right, that I'm not lying to you. But if you look at the genitive and dative forms, both singular and plural, you see those lovely circumflexes. Those are showing you the leftward mora. Mora 2 in all of these forms is carrying the high tone. It's also indicating to you that we are violating rule 1 here, because the high tone is not on 3, and that is because of the effect of the limit vowel. And remember, the circumflex will often show you that situation. So nominative, accusative, and vocative forms, NAV forms, processive, they will have acute accents there on that final vowel. The genitive and the dative forms, if they are bimoraic vowels, they are going to have those circumflexes. And as you go through and learn more kinds of nouns, here's a noun of a different class. This is hodos. This is journey, road, or way. And if you look here, you will see that we have also a limit vowel in the final vowel of the word. So in these, no tone is assigned to anything to the left of the last vowel. And in our nominative, accusative forms, we have processive accent. And here we can't see that for sure on 3 of the 4, on the nominative, singular, and plural, and on the accusative singular, because, again, we're dealing with unimoraic vowels. But that lower right form, the accusative plural, the bimoraic diphthong there, you totally know this is processive because of its Mora 1 tone. Contrast that with the genitive and dative forms. They all have bimoraic vowels in them, and they all show that beautiful circumflex, letting you know that the leftward mora in each of those vowels is carrying the high tone. And incidentally, that rule 1 is not being followed because Mora 3 is not getting the high tone due to the effect of the limit vowel. So you have 4 rules now, and you are basically ready, believe it or not, to accent the vast majority of words in Greek. You got things to memorize. You will have exceptions and irregularities and apparent irregularities as you move through the language. But all of that stuff can wait as you go through and learn new forms. The bulk of the system is all here in these 4 rules. And if you understand them, you are going to be in great shape. On a final note, if you are somebody who either knows or has tried to learn accentuation based on the traditional method, this isn't describing any different outcomes. It's just taking a different approach to it. And you may be wondering where all of those rules that you learned about what kind of accent can appear where and where accents can be, why none of that is in the system, why I haven't talked about it or given special names to the syllables or anything like that. And the answer is because you don't need it. If you know these 4 rules and you can follow them and you can understand them, all of that other stuff is just kind of baggage that comes from trying to explain a Moraic accentual system in terms only of syllables. So this is really teaching you the same thing, just in a very different way, much cleaner, much simpler, fewer rules, more consistent, and more streamlined. So regardless of your situation, good luck with your ancient Greek studies. You are set in terms of accentuation now, so go forth and read some Greek.